Welcome to the AWS Certified Cloud Practitioner Prepcast, where we guide you through everything you need to know for your certification exam. Whether you're just starting or looking to refine your knowledge, this course will set you up for success. Brought to you by baremetalcyber.com. Let's get started. One of the most powerful aspects of Amazon S3 is its variety of storage classes, each designed to balance cost, performance, and access patterns differently. Instead of treating all objects the same way, S3 allows organizations to choose classes that align with how often data will be accessed, how quickly it must be retrieved, and what level of resilience is required. Selecting the right class can dramatically reduce costs while still meeting business requirements. Misaligned choices, however, can lead to unnecessary expenses or slower than expected access. Mastering storage class selection means matching business behavior with technical design. The default option, S3 Standard, is designed for data that is accessed frequently and requires high durability and availability. Standard spreads objects across multiple availability zones, providing resilience against facility failures and delivering low-latency access. This makes it the go-to class for mission-critical applications, such as content distribution, transactional data, or frequently updated files. Its high performance and redundancy come at a higher cost compared to other classes, but for data that drives daily operations, the expense is justified. Organizations often start with S3 Standard as the baseline before transitioning to other classes with lifecycle rules. For data with unpredictable access patterns, S3 Intelligent Tiering provides an automated approach. This class monitors how often objects are accessed and moves them between tiers without manual intervention. Frequently accessed data remains in the frequent access tier, while objects that go untouched shift to infrequent or archive tiers. Intelligent tiering includes a small monitoring fee per object, but saves money by automatically aligning storage cost with usage patterns. It is particularly useful when you cannot predict how data will be used. For example, when storing research datasets or log files where access fluctuates dramatically over time. S3 Standard Infrequent Access, Standard IA, is designed for data that is not needed every day, but must still be quickly accessible when required. Like S3 Standard, it stores data across multiple availability zones, ensuring durability and resilience. However, storage costs are lower, while retrieval incurs additional charges. This makes it suitable for backups, disaster recovery copies, or data that must be retained but is only occasionally referenced. Organizations save on storage costs while accepting retrieval fees as a trade-off. The economics make sense when access is rare compared to the volume of stored data. S3 One Zone Infrequent Access, One Zone IA, takes the IA model further by storing data in only a single availability zone. This reduces costs compared to standard IA, but lowers resilience, since the loss of that AZ would make the data unavailable. One Zone IA is appropriate for recreatable data, secondary backups, or workloads where cost is prioritized over redundancy. For example, media transcoding intermediates that can be regenerated might fit this class. The key lesson is that lower cost comes with lower durability at the infrastructure level, making careful selection vital for critical workloads. S3 also includes archival classes under the Glacier family. Glacier Instant Retrieval is the fastest, providing millisecond access to archive tier data at a fraction of the cost of standard or IA classes. This is ideal for workloads like image libraries or compliance datasets that are rarely accessed but must be retrieved quickly when needed. For data where hours-long retrieval is acceptable, Glacier Flexible Retrieval offers even lower costs with configurable retrieval windows. At the lowest tier, Glacier Deep Archive is optimized for long-term retention, with the lowest cost per gigabyte but retrieval times measured in hours. Together, these classes provide a spectrum of trade-offs for cold storage. A newer class, S3 Express One Zone, is designed for workloads needing rapid single-digit millisecond access in a single availability zone. Unlike archival classes, Express One Zone emphasizes latency optimization over durability across multiple AZs. It is particularly useful for high-performance analytics, machine learning, or temporary data staging where low latency is critical and resilience is a lesser concern. This class demonstrates how S3 is evolving beyond archival and general-purpose storage into specialized performance tiers for advanced workloads. Across all classes, durability remains consistently high, with AWS targeting 11 nines of durability, 99.999999999%. This means that regardless of the class, objects are designed not to be lost. What differs is availability, or how reliably the data can be accessed at any given time. Standard and intelligent tiering offer the highest availability, while classes like Glacier Deep Archive have significantly lower availability targets due to retrieval times. Understanding the distinction between durability and availability helps set realistic expectations. Your data is safe, but not always immediately accessible. Most storage classes also come with minimum storage durations and early deletion fees. For example, objects in standard IA must remain for a minimum of 30 days, while Deep Archive requires at least 180 days. Deleting objects early still incurs the minimum charge, meaning these classes are not suitable for short-lived data. These policies reflect the economics of storage at scale. AWS optimizes infrastructure for predictable retention. Customers must plan accordingly to avoid surprises, ensuring that only data with the right retention profile is placed in archival classes. Retrieval charges are another important pricing signal. Unlike standard, where retrieval is free, classes like IA, OneZone IA, and Glacier impose per GB retrieval fees. For example, if you unexpectedly download large amounts of data from Glacier, retrieval costs can spike. Similarly, request charges such as per get or put operations add to the bill. These costs highlight why careful planning is critical. It is not just about storage price per gigabyte, but also the total cost of access and operations. Organizations must evaluate both storage and retrieval profiles to align class choices with real usage. Another factor often overlooked is the small object overhead. Each object stored in S3 carries per-object metadata and minimum size billing for certain classes. For example, storing thousands of tiny files in Glacier can be less efficient than consolidating them into larger archives. This is because minimum object sizes and metadata charges can inflate costs disproportionately for small objects. Best practice is to bundle small files into larger objects before archiving, ensuring efficient use of storage classes and avoiding overhead that undermines savings. Finally, lifecycle policies allow automatic transitions between classes, making storage optimization continuous rather than manual. You can configure objects to start in standard and transition to IA, Glacier, or Deep Archive after a defined period. For instance, logs might remain in standard for immediate access during the first 30 days, then move to IA for 90 days, and finally settle into Deep Archive for compliance retention. Lifecycle rules ensure that storage economics align with data age and access frequency, providing automation that keeps costs low without requiring constant oversight. For more cyber-related content and books, please check out cyberauthor.me. Also, there are other prepcasts on cybersecurity and more at baremetalcyber.com. Choosing between S3 standard and S3 intelligent tiering often comes down to predictability. If you know that your data will be accessed frequently and consistently, standard may be the simplest and most cost-effective choice. However, if usage is unpredictable, intelligent tiering saves time and money by automatically optimizing storage placement. For example, a marketing team might upload thousands of media assets with uncertain future access. Instead of manually moving files into cheaper tiers, intelligent tiering monitors activity and transitions them automatically, ensuring cost efficiency without sacrificing accessibility. It reduces the burden on administrators while still capturing savings. The trade-off between standard IA and OneZone IA illustrates the balance between resilience and cost. Standard IA provides multi-AZ redundancy, ensuring that data remains accessible even if one availability zone experiences an outage. One zone IA, however, cuts costs further by storing data in only one AZ. This makes it ideal for non-critical data that can be recreated, such as intermediate results in data processing pipelines. However, for data tied to compliance or disaster recovery strategies, standard IA is the safer bet. The key lesson is that one zone IA is cheaper but comes with risk, while standard IA balances lower price with durability. Deciding between Glacier Instant Retrieval, Glacier Flexible Retrieval, and Glacier Deep Archive requires considering retrieval urgency. Instant retrieval is perfect for archives that must occasionally be accessed quickly, such as medical imaging records. Flexible retrieval works well for data that can tolerate hours-long access times, like monthly reporting archives. Deep Archive, with retrieval measured in hours and a minimum storage period of 180 days, is best for compliance-driven long-term retention such as financial or legal records. These tiers ensure that organizations only pay for the access speed they need, aligning costs with real business requirements. A newer option, S3 Express One Zone, addresses workloads that require extremely low latency within a single availability zone. Unlike archival classes, it is not about cost efficiency over time, but about rapid access for analytics or high-performance workloads. For example, a machine learning application staging large datasets for rapid iteration may use Express One Zone to reduce query times dramatically. However, because it stores data in a single AZ, it should not be relied on for mission-critical redundancy. Express One Zone illustrates that S3 is not only about durability and cost, it is also evolving into a performance-optimized storage engine. Analytics tools like S3 Storage Lens play a critical role in deciding when to move data between classes. Storage Lens provides dashboards that highlight which buckets or objects might be overpaying by remaining in standard instead of transitioning to archival tiers. For instance, a company might find that 70% of their stored data hasn't been accessed in 6 months. Armed with this insight, administrators can create lifecycle rules to transition data to Glacier, saving significant money. Analytics-driven optimization ensures that storage classes are used intentionally, based on evidence rather than guesswork. Lifecycle rules are the automation backbone for class transitions. These rules define when objects should move from one class to another, reducing manual oversight. For example, a log file might remain in standard for 30 days while it is actively analyzed, then move to IA for the next 60 days, and finally into Deep Archive for 7 years of retention. Lifecycle rules can even delete data after a set time, helping organizations enforce compliance with retention policies. By automating transitions, lifecycle rules align storage economics with data lifecycles, ensuring optimal cost efficiency with minimal human effort. Cost modeling requires considering not just storage costs, but also requests, retrieval charges, and monitoring fees. Intelligent tiering adds a monitoring fee per object, IA classes impose retrieval charges, and archival classes require longer minimum storage commitments. For example, if you archive petabytes of data into Deep Archive but later retrieve it frequently, retrieval charges could overwhelm the storage savings. Modeling costs across all dimensions ensures that the chosen class truly aligns with business needs. This reinforces the importance of understanding that cloud economics are multidimensional, not just about per gigabyte storage prices. Compliance considerations come into play when evaluating single AZ classes like One Zone IA and Express One Zone. Regulatory frameworks often require multi-AZ redundancy to meet disaster recovery standards. Storing regulated data in single AZ classes could violate compliance rules and expose organizations to risk. For workloads with strict compliance requirements, multi-AZ storage classes such as Standard or Standard IA are mandatory. Organizations must align storage decisions with both technical requirements and regulatory obligations, ensuring that cost savings do not undermine compliance posture. Replication behavior varies across storage classes, and understanding these differences is important. S3 replication, whether same region or cross-region, is supported across most classes, but costs can differ depending on the source and destination. For example, replicating objects from standard into a CRR bucket with Glacier storage allows organizations to maintain local accessibility while also ensuring low-cost, long-term copies elsewhere. Designing replication strategies with class behaviors in mind ensures both resiliency and economic efficiency. Without careful planning, replication could inadvertently drive up costs instead of reducing risk. Encryption remains vital across all classes, including archival. Whether using SSES3, SSEKMS, or SSEC, organizations must ensure that encryption policies extend consistently across lifecycle transitions. For example, data moved from standard into Glacier must remain encrypted, with KMS policies continuing to apply. Misconfigured encryption could create compliance gaps, particularly in industries where data protection laws are strict. Understanding how encryption interacts with archival tiers reinforces that data security must travel with data across its entire life cycle, not just at the point of initial upload. Large object strategies often involve combining multi-part uploads with thoughtful class selection. For example, a 1 terabyte dataset may be uploaded in parallel parts, then transitioned into IA or Glacier with lifecycle rules. Multi-part upload improves performance and reliability, while archival storage cuts costs. This combination of performance and economics illustrates that class selection is not an isolated decision, but part of a workflow. For organizations managing very large datasets, multi-part upload paired with tier transitions ensures efficiency at both the operational and financial levels. Storage class choices also impact disaster recovery strategies. Multi-AZ classes like Standard and IA ensure resilience against infrastructure failures, while single AZ classes like One Zone IA or Express One Zone expose workloads to potential availability loss. For true disaster recovery, cross-region replication combined with Glacier tiers provides both resilience and long-term retention. By thinking about disaster recovery implications, organizations align class decisions with risk management frameworks, ensuring that storage architecture contributes to overall resiliency rather than undermining it. Common pitfalls include premature archiving and retrieval shock. Moving data into deep archive too early may lead to frequent retrievals, generating high costs and long delays. Retrieval shock occurs when teams underestimate how expensive or slow it can be to recover archived data. For example, restoring terabytes from deep archive during a business-critical event can result in both unexpected bills and operational bottlenecks. These pitfalls highlight the importance of aligning storage classes with realistic usage patterns and communicating retrieval implications clearly to stakeholders. Optimization in S3 storage is a continuous loop. Measure, transition, and verify. Measurement comes from tools like Storage Lens, transition happens through lifecycle policies, and verification ensures that costs and performance align with expectations. By continuously repeating this loop, organizations avoid stagnation and keep their storage strategy dynamic. As workloads evolve, so should class assignments. This iterative approach ensures that S3 remains not only durable and scalable, but also financially sustainable over the long term. For exams and practical application, the key is to associate class names directly with their latency, price, and resilience profiles. Standard equals frequent access with high availability. Intelligent tiering equals automation. IA classes equal infrequent access at reduced cost. Glacier classes equal archival with varied retrieval times, and Express One Zone equals low-latency single AZ performance. Memorizing these mappings ensures that when you see a scenario, such as long-term compliance storage or unpredictable access, you can quickly identify the appropriate class. This ability is central to both passing exams and making sound architectural choices in practice. That concludes today's episode of the AWS Certified Cloud Practitioner Prepcast. Be sure to tune in for the next episode and visit us online at baremetalcyber.com or cyberauthor.me for more resources, including news, mailing lists, YouTube videos, podcasts, and much more.